2024 college football season is gonna be crazy, but there are 10 quarterbacks that are going to determine who makes the playoffs and who wins the national championship. Now, here's the big disclaimer. This is not a ranking of the 10 best quarterbacks in order, even though some of the 10 best quarterbacks are on this list. This is about the quarterbacks and their situations that will determine who makes the playoff and who wins the national championship. Number 10, Carson Beck, University of Georgia. Now, before you slam your laptop down, throw your phone, whatever, Carson Beck is at number 10 because we already know who Carson Beck is. Really good quarterback, likely a top 5 pick, and anything that Georgia does not do, it won't be because of Carson Beck, because we know who he is already. But he's on this list because he is on one of the most impactful teams, and his team can win a national championship. Number 9, Cam Rising. Now, we only saw him on the sidelines last year in street clothes because he was recovering from a major injury from a bowl game. But this year, he will be back. Utah and Kyle Whittingham, they're moving to the Big 12. They are consistent. They are tough. And the one thing that they were lacking last year was good top-tier quarterback play. So they're going to have a chance to step into the Big 12 and win the Big 12, which means a guaranteed spot in the top 4 of the college football playoff. Number 8, DJ Uiagalelei out of Florida State. Now, we've already seen what he can do at Clemson. We've seen him at Oregon State. He's very solid. And Florida State has the schedule, they have the roster to be able to make the top 12 in the playoff or even win the ACC. So their future is going to be tied to how well DJ plays. And if DJ can go out and put good games together against Clemson and Miami and Notre Dame, bro, they are going to breeze into the playoffs and have a chance to win it after getting snubbed last year. Number 7 is Jaxson Dart over there at Ole Miss. Now, this is one of the best rosters that Ole Miss has ever put together. And Jaxson Dart, who stayed in college instead of going in the NFL draft to improve his draft stock, show he's more consistent and everything else, he is going to be the linchpin to whether this team is able to make a top 12 spot or even have a chance at a national championship. Because Lane Kiffin's done a good job with the recruiting. And when you look at their schedule, they got LSU, whose defense has been absolutely awful, and they have Georgia on the schedule. So even with a Georgia loss, man, this team still has a legit shot at the national championship and at the playoff because their non-conference schedule is light as a feather, just like Ohio State's. Number 6, Drew Allar from Penn State. Drew is going to be the difference on whether this team has a shot at a national championship or not, because that's the only thing that separated them last year was quarterback play between Michigan and Ohio State games, which they were in both of them. And when you look at this Penn State schedule, oh my God, they're going to be favored in every single game, probably aside from the Ohio State game. So it is important for Drew Allar to play good football because that'll just be more of the same. Penn State, great job, 10-2. You're good, but you can't beat the big boys. So Drew Allar is going to be the difference. Number 5, Dillon Gabriel at Oregon. Dillon Gabriel has everything he needs to succeed at Oregon. He's got wide receivers, Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, Evan Stewart, probably the best core that he's ever had. And this Oregon roster, probably the best that they've ever had. Deep, they're big, they're fast, they're strong, and expectations are crazy high in Eugene. If Gabriel can play good football, games against Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, those look a lot more winnable. And if you can win those games and win the Big Ten, you can absolutely win the national championship. Surprise, surprise. At number 4, Miller Moss from USC. You're like, wait, what? Wait, how is Miller Moss going to determine the national championship or the playoff teams? Because it ain't going to be USC in there because of USC's schedule. USC has LSU, Michigan, Penn State, and Notre Dame on the schedule. And if he can win 2 or more of those games, then yes, USC will be in a really good position to make a bowl game and maybe even be on the outside looking in of the college football playoff. USC has on the schedule LSU, Michigan, Notre Dame, and Penn State. So winning any combination of those games is going to determine the top 12, the order, and everything in between. So if Miller Moss can play his best football and USC can get a little bit of improvement on defense, they can be one of those schools that just ruins somebody else's life toward the end of the season. Number 3, Jalen Milroe at Alabama. Kalen DeBoer did his thing with Michael Penix coming over from Indiana, going over to Washington, and people didn't think that Michael Penix was as great of a passer as he was. So now imagine what he can do with Jalen Milroe's legs and his arm. So Jalen Milroe can put Alabama, who people are giving a shot at the outside of the playoffs, to squarely in the middle of the playoff conversation. And if you get in the playoff, you get in the tournament, you got a chance to win the tournament. So Jalen Milroe's play, along with his new head coach, Kalen DeBoer, is going to determine the future of the Crimson Tide in 2024. Number 2, Will Howard. There is not another quarterback on this list that has more pressure on him than Will Howard. Ohio State went into the transfer portal. They added players. This roster looks stacked on paper. Maybe one of the best college football rosters that we've seen recently. Will Howard, when he was at Kansas State, he wasn't asked to throw the ball at as high of a level as he's probably going to be asked to do in Ryan Day's offense, even though it's led by Chip Kelly as their new offensive coordinator. So when you look at this roster, the NIL money being spent, the fact that Ohio State has lost 3 years in a row to Michigan, bro, things have to change over there, and Will Howard is either going to be the hero or he's going to be the GOAT in the situation. And their schedule with Oregon, Iowa, Penn State, and Michigan, man, this is not an easy road. This is going to put him to the ultimate test, and that's why he's so high on this list. Number 1, Cam Ward. Now, he flirted with the NFL draft, took the NIL money, went down to Miami, and Mario Cristobal has to prove that he can do good work statistically with a quarterback. Because if you look at Justin Herbert's numbers, there were people that were like, what are we watching? What are we seeing at times? Because he plays run and punt football sometimes. And Cam Ward, who had been so explosive at Incarnate Word and then at Washington State, if he gets nerfed in this Mario Cristobal system, it is going to be a problem for him getting other big-time quarterbacks going forward, being that you have quarterbacks, because last year you had Tyler Van Dyke, who people were excited about. Lukewarm, he ends up hopping in the transfer portal. And now with Cam Ward, if you do not have great results, especially with only 2 potentially ranked teams on your entire schedule in Louisville and Florida State, it is going to be a problem. And those are the 10 quarterbacks that are going to have the biggest impact on who makes the college football playoff and who wins the national championship. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. While we're in the middle of this thing, make sure that you guys drop in the comments and tell me who your favorite quarterback on this list is and who's going to win the national championship.